Mr. Chair, ladies and gentlemen, last year we had a workshop on topics which was given by an external presenter, which was very enjoyable. I'm not going to repeat that one tonight. Tonight I'm going to concentrate on the external, the technical aspects of topics, which you can use in ordinary situations, day-to-day situations. The purpose of a topic session, for those people who are new or aren't really sure, is to encourage speaking spontaneously, to practice speaking without any previous preparation, just to stand up there. It's not easy to do that. Nobody finds it easy, but the more you do it, the better you get by standing up here and doing it. That's why we have a topic session every meeting. Having to speak within a few seconds of being told your subject is a challenge, but in the real world, you'll know what you're going to talk about. It'll be something you're familiar with. Let's think about things in the real world where you have to speak spontaneously. A leaving do. Maybe someone's leaving the company and they've got a present and a card to give to her. Someone has to present it, so they'll say, "You, can you present it to her? You know her very well, or him very well." And all you'll do is say, "Okay, and I've known Sally for 5 years. She was useless when she first came, knew nothing, but now she's almost running the department." And tell a funny story about her, something amusing maybe, and then say, "Wish you well in your new job," and give her the card and the present. That's a spontaneous, off-the-cuff presentation where you have to ad-lib, and that's what we're teaching you to do. Might be a lot of people gathering round to listen as well, so you're saying this in front of people. Another situation could be maybe again at work, your manager or your boss might come in with a load of visitors and say, "Oh, these are visitors, can you show them around? Can you explain the equipment to them? Can you tell them what we do? Thank you," because they're only choosing you because you know how to explain it. You've probably done it before, so they're choosing you. So it's not something you're unfamiliar with. But you don't know how many people you're going to be talking to, all these visitors, plus your manager listening, and maybe other people. So you need confidence. And these topic sessions help build your confidence to stand up and talk in front of an audience about something you've only just heard about, you've only just been told to speak about. So if you're speaking about something that you're familiar with, it'll become easier. Can you think of any other situations where you might have to speak spontaneously, apart from leaving dues and visitors coming? Anywhere?
Funerals.
Oh, funerals? You have to stand up suddenly and speak? Maybe you prepare it, but you could speak suddenly, yeah.
Giving a vote of thanks when you have a flower club, etc., thanking the person that's come to demonstrate the flowers, etc. And quite often, they sometimes forget to ask somebody and they say, "Oh, so-and-so do that," and they get up and do it. In actual fact, they do a wonderful vote of thanks.
Yes, okay, that's
it's off the cuff.
Okay,
Yeah.
wonderful. Any more? Meetings? Might be in a meeting, you think of something that you don't agree with, or a really interesting point, and you miss the moment. And then a few minutes later, someone else says it and gets applauded, and you think, "Oh, why didn't I say that?" Or nobody thinks of it, and at the end of the meeting you think, "Oh no, I should have said that." But you were too shy or too nervous just to stand up and say it. So, that's what it's all about. So, maybe interviews. People ask you questions off the cuff. Why do you want this job? Or you have to be able to explain and answer them straight away. So all these things are to do with confidence, having the confidence to speak in front of people. So in our topic session, what we do is give you a topic and you've got a few seconds to walk down here with your topic, to think of your opening sentence. And maybe it's something to do with the weather. So you can talk about the rain, snow, tsunamis, global warming. Any other suggestions? The weather. What will you talk about? Anybody?
Hurricanes.
Hurricane.
Matthew.
That stuff tonight going on in the Caribbean and Florida. They're evacuating, aren't they? Hurricane Matthew. Yeah, exactly. So you can have a topical topic, even. When did you just thought of a topical topic? And you'd be great standing up here talking about that. So you think of themes. You don't have to talk about everything you know about the weather. Just think of a theme: hurricanes, tsunamis, global warming, something like that. So you've got that. You're all ready now. You've landed here. So you do whatever you normally do to relax. take a deep breath, hands by your side. Ladies and gentlemen, the usual thing. And then you start talking, and that's it. So, but maybe you smile at people first, because some of those are going to get up here afterwards. They're watching to see what you do, because they're the next one up here. Some might already have been up here, and then they're sitting down and they're interested in what you've got to say. They're actually interested. So you're learning a skill yourself, and you're also entertaining people at the same time. How good is that? So that's topics. If at the end of this meeting I asked someone, how do I get to Swindon Town Centre? There'd be loads of you who'd probably come up and tell me, because you know. If I said, oh, can you come up here now and explain to these 50, 100 people in the audience how to get to Swindon Town Centre, you wouldn't be so keen, would you? You know how to do it. You've got the words, you can explain it, it's no problem. But what's the difference between telling me how to do it and telling 50 other people? Maybe you have to speak louder. What else? What's the difference between telling one person and telling 50, 100? Any suggestions?
Eloquence is lost usually.
Eloquence. You speak louder. You're frightened they might contradict you. You say, no, you don't go that way. Or they're looking at you, what you're wearing. You didn't know you were going to have to do that. You would have combed your hair if you knew you were going to have to stand up. So that sort of stuff comes into it, isn't it? You've got a spot on your nose up here this morning. You didn't really want to stand up in front of everybody and let them all see it. And you might not be so eloquent talking in front of people. You're shy. You just stammer over your words, or you clam up. All these things come into play. And what's the common factor? Confidence, isn't it? Confidence. You know what you're going to say, you can say it. You just don't want to say it in front of loads of people. So standing up here gives you confidence to do it.
Makes you relax.
Makes you relax, yeah. You might not relax that much, but you'd be more relaxed than if you hadn't practiced before. So the structure and content of your topics. The opening sentence allows you to gather your thoughts and think of what you're going to say. And you have to then just talk through it and think ahead while you're talking. And if you can think of a good ending, try to aim towards that good ending. If maybe the topic is water, you might talk about drinks or the sea, the river, or health aspects of it, a spa. So you can go on about the spa, how healthy it is with the salt water, hydrotherapy, and at the end maybe, and that is why water is the essence of life. Good ending. You sit down and people think, well, that's pretty good. Yeah. So if you do that sort of thing, it's difficult to do, but if you think of your ending while you're talking and aim for something. When you're talking outside in an ordinary conversation socially, you don't have any notes with you. You don't have to sit and prepare what you're going to say next. You just open your mouth, start talking. Everybody does it. I've seen most of you do it in the bar, in fact. You all do it, just open your mouth. That's all you're doing.
Meeting in there next time.
Maybe, yeah. Well, that's all you're doing here. You're standing up, think of a subject. Oh, this is the new subject we're talking about, and talk about it. The only difference is no one's going to interrupt you. You've got a captive audience, a supportive audience. You can say what you like. You can change facts. You can make it all up. You can elaborate on things, exaggerate, do whatever you like. Just try and keep on topic and concentrate on that ending. The other thing we should do is try and make it a mini speech with a beginning, a middle and an end. So the beginning is explaining what you're going to do, say what you're going to talk about, snow, hurricanes, whatever. And then the middle is building on that, explaining more about it, more detail, maybe looking at both sides of the argument if it's a discussion, and then building towards the end, which summarises it. Ideally link the end to the beginning if you can. There's loads of ways to do that. One way which works quite well is to start with a statement and end with the same statement. So if I ask somebody now to come up and talk about water, you might remember a few minutes ago I said, oh, water is the essence of life. You could come up and say that as your opening statement. Water is the essence of life. You can survive without food, but water, you can't go on and on and on about water. Then you know what the ending's going to be. You've already said it. So you can just talk about water, keep on these health aspects, And then when the red light comes on, or the yellow light, you know what your ending is, so you can say, and that is why water really is the essence of life. Right? You can do that sort of thing. And it works with anything. The weather, clouds. And every cloud's got a silver lining. Things may go wrong, but there's always something good at the end, blah, blah, blah. And that is why people say that every cloud has got a silver lining. But then it sounds really good. And you can do it with anything. Umbrellas. Never go out without an umbrella. The weather is so unpredictable here, blah, blah, blah. And that is why you should never go out without an umbrella. So if you use that sort of thing, beginning statement and end statement, you don't have to worry about the flow because you know how you're going to end, because you're talking about the opening statement. If you want to apply that to the real life, maybe the situation we mentioned earlier about your manager coming in and asking you to talk about something, or explain something in the department, maybe a bit of equipment in front of all these people, you know it, otherwise he wouldn't ask you to do it. So if you just go, oh, you press that, and that happens, that's no good. You have to use this topics theme. Right, this bit of equipment is really flexible. It's worth its weight in gold. Explain the functions, what it does, all about it, all the details, and what you do and what happens. And in the end you can say, and now you can see with all this flexibility, you can see why this equipment, it really is worth its weight in gold. And that's it. Then your manager will be pleased. Salesman, you might buy some copies of it. Salesman will get a commission, your manager will get a promotion, and you might get a pat on the back. And get asked to do it again the next time something's going on. So that's basically all it is. So let's try here. Beginning statements. If maybe the subject was summer, think of a good beginning statement. Something like, the gardens are wonderful in summer. And you can go on about that. And you can talk about the beauty of the flowers and everything, and end with, and that's why the gardens are so beautiful in the summer. So any other opening statement for the summer? Maybe to think of something? Pretend this is your topic session now. Talking about the summer.
One swallow doesn't make a summer.
Wonderful, that's it. You can talk about that and end up with that. Brilliant. So why one swallow doesn't make a summer? Any more?
Why is summer ruined by so many kids off of school?
Exactly. You can talk for ages about that.
What did you say?
And then at the end, and that is why
What did you say?
ruined.
Why is summer ruined by having so many kids out of school?
Oh.
Well, that's your opinion, so you can go on. And then at the end you can say, and that is why it's ruined by so many kids. Conclusion, see? You know how you're going to end.
Well, there's the beginning of summer and the ending of summer.
Okay, and then you can explain all of
There's
it.
a beginning, as stated, and then there's the ending, end of summer.
So there's lots of ideas there. What about happiness? Happiness. Happiness.
Is a cigar.
Happiness is happiness standing up here talking to you. Or when I sit down at the end of it, moment. Happiness is a cigar. Happiness, with someone's given a speech about happiness up here. How did you start your speech? When you did that speech on happiness?
We all want happiness in our life.
Exactly, we all want happiness in our lives. You can talk about that and explain why at the end. Closing stuff. So that's how you can use that as an idea for beginning statement, end statement, so you have a good ending. The reason why we try and have a good ending, a good beginning and a good ending, is because it's the first things you say and the last things you say that everyone remembers. All the stuff in the middle, they just get the general vein of it, but they remember your end bit. By doing a good beginning, and that you can use at the end, all you're doing is making sure you have a good end statement, because that's what people will hear. That's one idea. Another very important thing is timing. Right? You get 3 minutes to do topics. So, and the lights are there to help you. They're not there to rush you. They're there to guide you and help you. So you can just keep talking, and the light comes on and tells you when you're nearly at the end. And then when you've got a few seconds left to do that final statement, so you can make the most. So make the most of the time you've got for your topic. When you're doing a topics in a competition, you get 3 minutes There's no time, no reason why you have to use all the time when you're standing up here doing topics. We're only practicing. You don't have to use all the time. But the speaker's guide actually recommends that it's sometimes better to stop short rather than rambling on. There's two schools of thought on that though. If you stop short and sit down, and the next time you come up, you stop and sit down, you start to think, have a complex about it. So it's an opportunity to keep talking and see whether you can think ahead and talk. Slow down and just talk slowly about something while you're thinking of how to get back on course again. It's worth practicing, trying it. And if you're in a competition and you finish too early, you lose points. So you finish, there's no point anyway. So you might as well just keep rambling on, hoping you can get back on course again, and you might turn it into something and have a good ending. Then no one will know you lost your train of thought. They'll just hear the general thing and think your ending and beginning tied up nicely. You get points for that. And it might have been interesting, all your ramblings. I personally do that waffling and rambling. People come in, I do that a lot. And the reason for it is, at the beginning, so I've got a tendency to dry up. I can't think of what I'm saying next. And you can't just stop. If you're doing a leaving do presentation or explaining to a load of this equipment to loads of people and you get a block, you can't just stop and sit down, can you? You have to keep going. So this is good practice in keeping going, then getting back on course or asking a question or something. So these are all things to use in a real life situation. Whatever works for you, try it here. It's the perfect forum. And use your speaking skills, the A1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up to 10. Use all those skills. Mean what you say. You're speaking, you're meaning what you say anyway. That's the A3. Gestures. You haven't got any notes. So you can use your arms, your fingers, your hands. Facial gestures. They're all useful, facial gestures. And your voice, effectively, speak clearly. Project your voice to the back of the room. And use pitch, pause and pace, 3 Ps. Pitch, talk high and go lower, and make it more interesting. It's better than just doing a monotone. And pause makes the audience wonder what you're going to say next. And pace allows you to go quicker and quicker and faster until you manage to cram it all in before the red light comes on. Or talk slowly and play for time. So pause and pace allow you to govern how long or how short you're going to spend talking, which is very relevant as I'm coming near the end here. Word pictures and vocabulary, wonderful. Make it interesting. Everyone will visualise what you're doing. We hear a lot of that here. If you're talking about the sea and you're not sure what else to talk about, talk about the boats on the sea, the ships, the sails on the ships, all different colours. They're going fast, some are just gliding along slowly, reflections on the water, go on about those sort of things. And you might be just filling time in, do it slowly, fill in times, think of something else, talk about it. But it'll interest everybody, and then you're filling in your time, building up to this nice ending that you're going to talk about the sea. And that's why when I see the sea, I see the ships, or whatever your ending is, you're building up to that. And humour is contentious really. Don't try and make people laugh, it's difficult unless you prepare it. If they laugh, it's a bonus. But if you try and get a quick joke by talking about politics, sex or religion, it'll probably fall flat because your joke might not be considered good by everybody else. And you don't want to inadvertently upset somebody. It's not fair on them or on you. So try and keep away from those. Those 3 topics are allowed in speeches, politics, sex and religion, but we recommend that you don't use them in topics because you're speaking off the cuff and you don't want to upset anybody inadvertently. And audience rapport is if the audience show any glimmer of interest in what you're saying. If they're all asleep, you haven't got much audience rapport. If some of them are sort of nodding or smiling or something, it's quite rewarding when you're standing up here and people give some response. Does anybody have that? You agree?
Yes.
Audience rapport. There we go. So I'm going to end the session with if anybody's got any questions. Otherwise, we will end the session.